Welcome back. Governor Nyesom Wike says the alleged plot within the People's Democratic Party to punish him for insisting on equity and fairness in the party would make the party lose the presidential election. We're going to go into this conversation in depth, but joining us on Election Countdown Nigeria, our guest is the former special advisor to the Rivers State Governor, Inko Tariah. Good morning, Inko. Thank you very much for joining us.
All right. Good morning, Oli. I listened to you on the Ugandan. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. Please go ahead.
Okay, yes, your discussion on the Ugandan who had how many wives?
12 wives and 102 children.
102 children. And that such a man cannot elicit my support in any way, because I think he also needs some medical examination. Well, let me leave it at that. And the truth is, are you sure those 102 kids are his?
That's another angle.
Yes, are you sure those are 2 kids are his? But you also said something that while people are looking for one wife, he has about 12 wives. And I want to tell you here that Obnabo is not looking for a wife because Obnabo has told him already.
All right. I didn't see that coming. Nice one. Well played. All right. So now let's take the conversation to the drama that's rocking the political scene. We have 23 days, or rather, today's the 3rd. So we have 22 days to the elections. And there's been a lot of drama going on. But first, let's talk about the G5 governors. The ongoing crisis within the PDP has been on for over 7 months. At the time when it started, there was denial on the part of the PDP saying that this was just an internal issue that would be resolved. But we haven't seen it resolved in the past months. And we have a few days to the elections. Would you say that the G5 is maybe losing its relevance? And, initially when it started, it was gathering a lot of dust. But there's not a lot of conversation about it, in the past few weeks. Would you say that maybe the G5 governors are losing their relevance?
Well, they refer to themselves as the integrity group. But I can tell you right now that from what has happened so far, you can see that the G5 does not even have an ounce of integrity. And I'll tell you why. When you talk about losing their relevance, I mean, from day one, we knew that it was just a mere case of dalliance. I mean, they were just idling. Nothing. They didn't have what it takes. They didn't have the gravitas to do what they wanted they were going to do. And I said they lack integrity because if you look at the leader of the G5, as the governor of Rivers State, my governor, Nyesom Wike, first, this was a man who said he was not going to impose a candidate, and he did impose a candidate. And this was the same man who said he was going to support Atiku or whoever emerges. And even after the emergence of Atiku, he said he was going to support Atiku, notwithstanding whatever happened at the convention ground. And the next minute he said no. He came up with the issue of equity, fairness, and justice, which was just a subterfuge, because if you talk about equity, fairness, and justice, you should also go to the southeast and not even when you say the south, you should go to the southeast. You have the southwest, you have the south-south, you have the southeast. We had the Goodluck Jonathan. We also had an Olusegun Obasanjo. Now we have a Buhari, so you should actually go to the southeast. But he's just saying that he was not even chosen as the vice presidential candidate of Atiku after spending so much to get that position. Having said this, if you are aware, I don't know, I think you mentioned it as well, the cancellation of the venue for the Atiku rally. And the reasons I used were completely, I would say, rationally inexplicable. He's accusing the PDP in Rivers State of cahooting with the APC to the ridiculous conclusion that the APC and the PDP were going to have their rallies on the same day at the same venue. I mean, this suffers from excess of reason and poverty of logic. How can the APC and the PDP? The APC is campaigning for Tinubu. The APC will never come on air to campaign for Atiku. Even if they will have to do that surreptitiously, it will never do that openly. So how can you have the 2 rallies campaigning for 2 different presidential candidates taking place at the same time? That's why I say it is complete flip-flop. The true position of it is that the governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, is suffering from counterphobia and quantiphobia. Now, what do I mean by that? He approved the rally ground, believing that probably he might come up with one other thing in order to truncate it. And the issue of quantiphobia is the fear that if he allows this rally to take place, then it will definitely expose the emptiness in his boast, and will also prove to the world that Rivers people are for Atiku. And that is why he came up with those ridiculous reasons that you can never negate an ounce of intelligence to say that the APC is working in tandem with the PDP, or the PDP is working in tandem with the APC, whichever comes first. And to that end, is going to cancel. He cancelled, not to that end, they cancel the approval. The fear of a successful rally is actually responsible for the cancellation. This is a man that will stop at nothing to steal the efforts of the PDP in Rivers State to give Atiku the desired votes. Rivers people are for Atiku, Rivers people will go for Atiku, and with or without that stadium, with or without Wike's imprimatur, or with or without Wike's assistance, I can tell you that Atiku will come to Rivers State, address Rivers people, and he will be shocked by the turnout. It is going to be a crowd magnet come in February 11th.
Okay. Inko, you've mentioned a number of points. Would you say that maybe, in some sense, there is some element of sense to the argument that Nyesom Wike has brought forward? Very recently, he did complain about how the national leadership never visited Ahoda. He called some local governments and talked about how they've suffered from immense flooding, but the national executives of the People's Democratic Party haven't visited the state to show solidarity with them, and then said to the people, encouraging them that at the end of the day, you have your PVC, and he said, and I quote, pepper them with your votes. Don't you think that as the incumbent governor of Rivers State, in some sense, he wields a great level of influence? I hear you when you say Atiku has great influence, but are there concerns? These are the final hours. Anything can happen. Are there concerns that he'll be able to wield votes against Alhaji Atiku Abubakar?
With or without Nyesom Wike, of course, there are certain persons that will not vote for Atiku Abubakar. You have those in the APC, you have different political parties, and you don't expect ever, even in your family, if you have a large family, just like the Ugandan, if you have a large family, I can tell you that not all your children are going to agree with you. You have dissenting voices, no doubt about that. So not everybody in Rivers State will vote for Atiku Abubakar. Not everybody in Rivers State will vote for any presidential candidate. Some will even be apolitical. So you cannot say you're going to vote for. Then if you also say Nyesom Wike doesn't have the clout to influence certain votes in Rivers State, I'll tell you no, that's not true. Of course, his wife will even vote for whoever he chooses to vote for.
All right. Inko, hold that thought. We're going to come back. We're going to come back and expand.
Not all those in his employ will even vote for his candidate because it's secret ballot.
All right. Inko, permit me to interject at this moment. Hold that thought. We'll come back to expand the conversation even further. This is still Election Countdown Nigeria on Breakfast Central. We'll go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll be looking into this conversation some more. Stay with us. Welcome back to Election Countdown Nigeria on Breakfast Central, and this morning we're looking at a lot of the drama going on within the People's Democratic Party in Rivers State. We're joined by the former special advisor to the governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike. We have Inko Tariah. Good morning, Inko, and thank you very much for joining us this morning again. Let's take the conversation to a different direction. And now this is as regards the G5 governors, or the integrity group, as you may, saying that, or choosing who they would throw their alliance behind. Now, the most recent conversation we've heard from the governor, Nyesom Wike, is that he did not say that he would televise who he will throw his support behind. Because people have been wondering, you're not supporting your party presidential candidate. Who are you supporting? Who are you throwing your weight behind? So he hasn't really outrightly been in support of the APC, neither has he been outright in support of the PDP. From your projections, who do you think that the G5 governors are throwing their weight behind?
Governor Nyesom Wike is just throwing a wobbly. The truth about, first, before I even go into that, let me quickly state that when you talk of anti-party, because this was one of the reasons he abused. When you talk of anti-party, this is the sitting governor of a state, a PDP state, who went to Lagos and endorsed an APC governor for a second term and even donated 300 million naira of Rivers people's money. What best can be described as anti-party? Having said this, you ask the question if the governor has disclosed his preferred presidential candidate. He doesn't have the ground front to so do. So it's just like a dalliance. It's an empty threat, boast. He thought by making such threats, issuing such threats, it will compel the Atiku campaign team, it will compel them into submission, into capitulation, that, oh, this man might leave us and go support. But they've long dismissed him because they've carried out enough research and come to realize that, yes, you have your vote, but this is beavers. Unlike before, where you can just take the votes into your bedroom and write the result into your bedroom and write, come up with any result. It's no longer the case. Even your wife can vote against your own presidential choice. Even your wife, without you knowing, she will just tell you, yes, I voted for your choice. You know? Now, if you talk of the issue of the presidential candidate, his preferred presidential candidate, he cannot come on air to say that. He will not. He said, recently he denied that he never told the world that he was going to announce it. Wike and said he was going to announce to Rivers people his preferred presidential candidate. He said so categorically, honestly, vocally.
So he did say that
he was going to announce to Rivers people.
He did say that
he has failed to announce, and he is now saying, oh no, he did not say he's going to announce. He said he was going to announce.
So what he has said in recent times, in the clip that I've seen, is that he did not say the medium with which he would announce to the people of Rivers that yes, he would announce to the people of Rivers, but he's not publicizing.
First and foremost, he said in January. It was not announced in January. And up till now, we don't even know his preferred candidate. It's only a conjecture that his preferred candidate is what's his name, Bola Tinubu. I mean, that is more or less like a known secret that that's his preferred candidate. Now, if Atiku Abubakar was his preferred candidate, why will he not come? He's a member of PDP. He's a PDP governor. Why will he not come out to say both Atiku Abubakar? So his preferred candidate is Ahmed Bola Tinubu. I mean, from the snippets of information we've cobbled together, we can tell you that's the preferred candidate. But the truth is, you say you're a man of integrity, you have the guts, you can do whatever you want, you've been voting, and now that's your guts, that thing has failed you. He cannot come on air to say this like that because he will be accused of anti-party. He will be probably suspended from the party, and that will have a domino effect. It's going to affect all the candidates of the party, from the governors to the senators to all of them will be affected. And so that's why he doesn't have that gumption to come on there to say, this is my preferred candidate. And I can assure you that the answer is will never announce his preferred candidate unless he wants to announce Atiku Abubakar, because he's scared of the consequences of announcing another candidate apart from Atiku Abubakar. It simply means that his governorship candidate, the National Assembly candidates, all of them are going to be suspended from the party. And that is his fear. So why say what you cannot do?
Now that you mentioned...
He was going to his supporters. He did not say he was going to tell his supporters. He said he was going to announce.
Now that you've mentioned consequences.
And that Rivers people will vote for the preferred candidate. That was his boast.
Inko, now that you've mentioned consequences, let's talk about some allegations. We're seeing that former aide to Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, Michael Achimugu, has alleged that Rivers State Governor Nyesom would be assassinated, and his G5 governors, of course, will be assassinated if Atiku wins the presidency. What do you make of statements like these, especially as this season is a very sensitive season?
Mendacious, completely mendacious. The man is out there. He's a spoiler sponsored by these governors in order to rubbish Atiku Abubakar. And nobody takes him seriously. He comes up with unfounded allegations that you cannot substantiate. This is a man sponsored by APC, sponsored by the G5 governors. And so I don't think anybody will take it seriously. I mean, who on earth mentioned one man Atiku was killed? This is a man who was a vice president. He won the governorship ticket for his, the governorship election for his state before he was called upon by our Obasanjo to become his vice president for 8 years vice president. After that, he's been contesting to become the president of the country. He never killed one man. No death has been connected to Atiku. Not one death. So is it now he's going to kill anybody? Now that his chances are brighter, that he's going to kill anybody? I mean, it's not possible. Nobody should take such allegations or such stories seriously. It's coming from somebody who already is compromised. He's on the payroll of the APC. He's also on the payroll of the G5 governments. And so the whole aim is just to destroy the reputation of Atiku Abubakar. How did you know? In which meeting was it conceived? Was it decided? Let him also come up with that proof. You don't just make sweeping allegations. You don't just come on air to rant just because you've been paid to so do, or just because you want to make a name. Because when you mention the name of Atiku Abubakar, definitely you have the listening ears of Nigerians and even beyond. So you come on there to talk all kinds of rubbish, trash. These are unfounded allegations. Atiku has never been accused of murdering anybody. Even all the issues of fraud, allegations of fraud. So he went to court. This is one litigious human being. He went to court on all and won all his cases. No court has even indicted him or found him guilty of any of those crimes. This is the first time anybody will even accuse Atiku of plotting to kill anybody. This is the very first time. And it's coming from who? Somebody without credibility, without reputation. Somebody who was just frustrated because he published a book on Atiku, and it was to him, they did not even pay him after spending all his money. So you can see he's a biased character. So such a man cannot be taken seriously by anybody. The question is, has Atiku ever been connected to any debt, whether politically or otherwise, economically, financially, and so on? No. He has never. His name has never been mentioned. So we are not going to waste our time, dissipate our energy on frivolities and inanities.
All right.
And that's just claims and allegations.
Inko, let's talk about the possibility or lack of it thereof. When we talk about reconciliation, is the window of reconciliation permanently shut? Initially, the PDP, the body language of the PDP was that this was something temporary and that the party will resolve the crisis within itself. But now we're seeing that it's taken over 7 months. Is there any possibility that the window of reconciliation is still open, or is it shut permanently forever? At least up until elections.
Well, in politics, 24 hours. In politics, even 1 hour is a lot in politics. There is no impossibility. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Please go ahead.
Okay. There is no impossibility in politics, you know. If only the gladiators will have a rethink and think of what's best. You know, politics is a concentric circle of conspiracies and articulated interests. So it depends on the gladiators. But you see, when a fight is egocentric and not altruistic, reconciliation becomes a problem. Because the issue of equity, fairness, and justice is neither here nor there. Like I rightly said, you have the man who chaired the zoning committee, one of the G5 governments. And they let it open. They let it open because it was influenced. Leave it open so that one of us can go in there. If we also leave it open, we are definitely not going to restrict it to just the southeast. It was done for intensely bad reasons. They did not know it was going to boomerang. And so they left it open. Now, after that, you went to the convention. You already had Ayu as the national chairman. Ayu was chairman when Atiku Abubakar emerged as the presidential candidate. Why did you not take into consideration, into cognizance, the fact that Atiku and Ayu come from the same zone? And these are elected officers. Then you now say the only panacea will be ignoring the constitution of the party. Because if today you remove Ayu, the man, the deputy national chairman from that zone will still have. So you've not addressed the issue. You've not addressed. You are now saying you have to remove Ayu, then you come up with doctrine of necessity. Oh, God of Israel, rationally speaking. Come up with doctrine of and bring a southerner. This can only take place at the convention. Are you going to quickly hold another one? Given the constituents time, are you going to hold another one? It's not possible. So you come up with impossible demands simply because you lost out completely. You say you're coming with impossible demand. Now, why I say you have to be altruistic is you can come back to say, okay, fine. I'm a member of the party. You claim you've done so much for the party. This is a party that made you local government chairman. This is a party that made you, I don't want to call chief of staff because it's not recognized in the constitution. This is a party that made you local government chairman. This is a party that made you minister. This is a party that made you a governor. My God, what the party has done for you, you've not been able to requite even 10% of it. Today you are what you are because of the PDP. Now, if you come up now, it's like you now training your son or your daughter. After sending the child up to Harvard, PhD Harvard, the child comes back to tell you, oh, Daddy, this is a Mercedes-Benz for you. Even if that Mercedes-Benz $1 million, $100 million. It cannot be compared to what you spent on that child. Because first of all, without you, you wouldn't have been able to get the money to buy that Mercedes Benz.
All right, Inko.
A third show of ingratitude. So you can only resolve this issue when you are altruistic. Okay. When you know that, yes, let me subdue my own ambition and look at the bigger picture. And what is the bigger picture? The victory for the PDP. And that should be your concept. But when you maximize the minimum and minimize the maximum, then you run into problems like this.
Thank you very much, Inko, for sharing your thoughts with us on this conversation. I have and I'd like to answer this question as quickly as possible. They say that in politics, there are no permanent friends or permanent enemies, only permanent interests. And I wondered, you were...
I say it's a concentric circle of interest.
Exactly.
That's what I said.
You are the former special advisor to the current governor of River State. One would think that you would throw your alliance behind him.
I've resigned.
Okay, you have resigned, right? But one would think that you would throw
I resigned long ago.
Yeah, so what I'm asking is, why is your alliance not for him, but against him?
That is the point. Now, I resigned because we are not compatible. That is number one.
Okay.
We are not compatible because I didn't like certain things and could not book them. Even I got lots of flats when I resigned. How can you do that? You are getting this, you are paid this, you are this. Why would you do that? So I said, no, it has to do with my conscience. And that was why I resigned. Now, there are situations where I even commended the governor on air. Probably I've not done that on this channel, but I commended the governor on air. If you do the right thing, of course I'll commend you. If you do the wrong thing, of course I'll condemn you, I'll criticize you. Like I always tell people, I say I am not a member of any political party. My governorship candidate is different. My House of Rep candidate is different. My candidate for the senatorial candidate is different.
So, Inko, I get it safe.
As I can.
It is safe to say.
And excuse me, 1 minute. I hate what I refer to as imbecilic followership. That is the point you are trying to make. Because you are a special advisor, good or bad, go with it. No, that's imbecilic followership. And that has been the bane of our politics.
Well,
let us look for credibility and address issues the way they ought to be addressed.
All right. Inko, thank you very much for sharing, your thoughts with us. I mean, you've worked with him up close, which is why we are asking. We're curious because you know the man in a way that we don't know. So you've shared with us that you're working from a position of your conscience. And I might wrap this up by quoting our president when he says, you are for nobody, you are for everybody, and you are for nobody. That's what it seems like.
And that is when he said that the APC did not understand it. Now they are beginning to understand it.
Interesting.
The man is hell-bent on ensuring credible elections.
This is a conversation that deserves a part 2, so we would invite you again to find out your thoughts, and this time the conversation will be on the APC.
I'm not a fan of Buhari, but you see, I just commended Buhari.
Yes, that's fair enough. Thank you, Inko Tariah, for joining us this morning on Breakfast Central.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
You're looking so beautiful, Oli.
Thank you. You're far too kind.